Hello, my lovely Scorpios. Welcome back to the channel today. We are going to be doing your weekly reading for March 25th through April 7th. I'm not going to lie, Scorpio, every single time I try to do the date for these readings, I try to speak it, I end up wanting to say February. It is so crazy to me that we are almost into March. It does not feel real. Or almost into March? We're almost into April. Oh my goodness. Okay. Y'all, all I can think about right now is the Stardew Valley update that just dropped. It's a video game for those of you that are unfamiliar. They just dropped a new update with some cool new stuff, and all I can think about is playing it. So I'm going to try and get through these readings as fast as I can so that I can have some time to enjoy myself today and play my favorite game. Now, I am doing something a little bit different with these readings, obviously, because you can see my face here. That's one change that I'm making, because I would really like to be able to connect more with my audience. But also, I plan to start using more of my oracle cards here. So I'm very sorry if that bothers you, that I have changed things or the style of things. My hope is that it's going to bring greater depth to these readings so that I can be more accurate for you guys. And I mean, these readings are for you anyway. They're here to help serve you. And so the more information that I can give you, without overwhelming you, of course, the more information, the more in depth that I can get about the energies that I am experiencing or seeing here, then the more accurate and helpful I can be for you guys. So with that being said, let's take a look at your 3 oracle cards that we pulled here. Your first one is the Crow Spirit, which says co-create with Spirit. So Scorpio, you are in a time of creation. You are in a time of building something new for yourself, wanting to see things improve and expand. You're creating something, working your magic to build a new reality for yourself. You have the Ace of Wands here showing up on Wednesday in week 1, just for example. That is literally creation and manifestation. Your second card here is the Bee Spirit, which says sweet results await. So from this co-creation with Spirit, from this building of this world and universe for yourself, there are some sweet results that await. So that is very promising for you, Scorpio. We will possibly uncover what that is further on in the reading here. Let's see. And then your last card here is the Dog Spirit, which says be loyal to what you love. So you're in a time of co-creation. You're in a time of building with, good results coming from it. Staying aligned with the things that you love, staying aligned with what got you started on this in the first place. All of these things, all of these different pieces are what is going to help bring you towards those sweet results of the Bee Spirit. Alrighty, Scorpio. Let's start off with your first card here for week 1. Now, on Monday, March 25th, you have the Princess of Pentacles in reverse. This day is also a very important one because at the very start of this day here, we have a full moon happening in the sign of Libra. Not only is it a full moon, but it's a super moon. It's the first full moon of spring, which is what determines the date for Easter, if you are, if you celebrate that holiday. And lastly, it is also the first full moon of eclipse season. So we will be having a eclipse occurring, I believe a lunar eclipse. And then about 2 weeks from now, we will also be having a solar eclipse going across the world here. And that is some major energy. Big things are happening. The full moon, this is, normally full moons are like shorter cycles, right? We say we do manifestations from like the new moon till 2 weeks later to the full moon. But with this being such a important moon within the phases of things, with this being, the first full moon of spring and the first full moon of eclipse season that we have of this year, it's a lot of major moving pieces that are happening here. This means that the manifestations that we are seeing, the full moon is actually bringing things to light. In about 2 weeks from this full moon, we will have the new moon where we can start to set intentions. The new moon that's part of the solar eclipse, where we can start to set intentions for the bigger things that we want to achieve. Normally full moons, it's happening so often that we, set smaller goals for ourselves. But with this one being big, this is really a time to dream big about the things that we want and look ahead towards what we want to manifest. The full moon that's going to be happening here is illuminating what we want to manifest. So it's coming into the forefront. And these next 2 weeks between it are all pieces being brought up about things that do need to change, illuminating the things that maybe we are unaware of, bringing things into the light so that we can see them. And if we can't see them, how do we know that we need to fix them, right? So this is all working towards the greater good for you. It may feel very upsetting sometimes because it can bring up to light painful things that are unresolved. It can bring up things that we deal with in our heart that bring us shame. They're very difficult things that most of humanity struggles to properly deal with and handle. So, it's an uncomfortable time, but it's all being for the best for you. It's all things that are being brought further to help bring you further into alignment with your highest self. Now, getting to the actual tarot, after that little tangent here, the Princess of Pentacles in reverse. Scorpio, what you are looking for is this new land for yourself. You're looking for a place. I almost see like an explorer going out and looking for a land for somewhere that they can call home. The Princess of Pentacles is carrying this seed that she wants to go plant somewhere. They want to take this seed and opportunity. Really what this seed is planting the intentions for building. So some of you could be looking, like physically actually looking for land to set down roots to call home, looking to purchase a home if you are more in that real estate market right now. But for a lot of you, this is not just like a physical home. This is like your emotional home, the place where you can be recognized for your unique skills, your unique talents, the place where you come home at the end of the day and you feel supported and loved by your family and the people around you. You're looking for the place where this growth, where you can plant this seed for growth and trust and allow it to happen. So that means examining our world. It means examining our environment so that we can make sure that there's nothing in our environment that is going to inhibit this growth. So, Princess of Pentacles in reverse, you're looking for your home. You're looking for somewhere to plant down your roots. Now, Scorpio, your very next card here is the Death card in reverse. With this putting down of roots, with this fresh space that you want to find yourself in, it's going to cost something. I know that that's so vague. It's going to cost something, but like you have the Death card here, and the death is an ending. With this being in the reverse, it can be an ending that you're resisting, that you don't want to happen. So for example, having to find or look at land in a place that maybe you didn't want to live in. Maybe you're not finding things within your price range around your preferred area. So you have to let go the expectation of living in that area. But maybe by moving from one place, looking at one location to looking at another location, there's always a chance that by looking at that other location that you find a property within your price range that is able to check all the boxes for you. Things that end can always be a little bit tough to deal with, but sometimes we can have, greater return from allowing these things to move. Some of you, part of this move or part of building this new environment is going to mean getting rid of something else. You may have to get rid of a job. Maybe you need to find a better job because you need to make more money to live in this place. Or maybe it's going to cause you to move where you're going to have to leave your job. Maybe somewhere that you've been comfortable for a little bit. For others, if this isn't energetic, if this isn't like an actual physical move that you're wanting to make for yourself, this is an energetic move where you may have to cut toxic people or things out of your life. Maybe you're coming to the realization that certain activities that you participate in, or certain things that you do, or, you know, toxic thought patterns are things that are going to have to be left behind to move into this new space. But you have a resistance to it, so it could be something that maybe in the past made you feel very comfortable, something that you relied on for comfort, and it's going to be very hard for you to let that go. But by letting this thing go, by allowing this death, this transition process to occur, your very next card here, Scorpio, is the Ace of Wands. And as we said, you know, talk about co-creating with spirit, because that's literally what the Ace of Wands is. The Wands suit is our power of manifestation. I mean, think of what magic is with a wand. You wave a wand and something appears, right? From your very thoughts and intentions. This is your manifestation. So this is you thinking about what you want, thinking about what you want for yourself, and manifesting it. It's taking the thoughts and the mind, taking something intangible and birthing it into the tangible reality, into the physical world. So your idea of what you want for a house being brought into existence in the house that you want. I need to take a breath when I do these readings sometimes. I get just so... I want to get the thought out before I forget it. You know, such a ADD thing right there. But like, if I don't get it out while I'm thinking about it, it's going to disappear and I'm going to have to find it again. So yes, you are in a time of big co-creation. Like, this is not a small move. This is a very big co-creation move for you. Sweet results await. Be loyal to what you love from those oracle cards. Yeah, like, you're trying to manifest something very important for you here. And being loyal to what you love. Yeah. Making sure that you're staying in alignment in your heart with what it is that you actually want, what you desire. Let's talk about your next card here. You have the Knight of Cups in reverse. This is an interesting one within this energy because you actually have two other Cups cards after this. And the Cups are associated with our emotions. They're associated with things within the heart. And the Knight of Cups in reverse, I feel like some of you could be having certain people that are just kind of like telling you that you can't do this. This feels like a person who is trying to discourage you from doing this. It could also be that you're dealing with a specific person that is trying to block this change in some way. So some of you might possibly be dealing with a person that's not going to be very happy about this move that you're trying to make, this change that's trying to occur. I'm specifically being drawn to that Death card in reverse there, and the Death card is... I almost feel like this might be the person that you are having to cut out of this situation. It could be a toxic individual within your life that is causing you discomfort, discouraging you from doing what you want. This is 100% heart energy. So some of you, this could actually be like a toxic partner. This is also a Cups card, Scorpio, and you are a water sign. Cups are associated with water energy. So Scorpio, therefore, this could actually be you. This could actually be you having to cut out that part of yourself that is negative or self-deprecating. You have to stop telling yourself that you can't do this because you'll be cutting off your own blessing at the beginning of it. This is a very internal struggle here. Scorpio, I feel like some of you just really like have a hard time saying nice things about yourself. And that is, I feel like very strongly that is the one thing here that is going to have to change quite a bit, is you're going to have to start adjusting the way that you speak to yourself. Your very next card here, Scorpio, is the Two of Cups in reverse. So, I mean, if we're talking partnerships, this is 100% partnership. Well, maybe like 80% partnership, because the other 20% is like you too, Scorpio, inside. So this is partnership. So a lot of you could be, struggling with a relationship at this time. I don't mean that like this struggle, I can't say for sure whether or not this struggle is going to lead to some sort of separation. It just means that you're coming up with some hurdles, possibly some miscommunications, because we do have on April 1st, the start of week 1, and it's also the start of Mercury retrograde, which is very, very well known for causing miscommunications between people. So some of you could be feeling a little bit of tension within your relationships. I can't say for sure whether or not this is actually like breakup worthy tension, but I feel like there is this disconnect. If this is not a relationship partnership, if this is dealing with the aspect of the self, I feel like this is you having to evaluate the way that you are viewing yourself, having a very hard time cutting off the image of yourself that you have within your head. Every person that knows us has a different idea of who we are in their head, because they only get to see a small portion of what is going on up inside here. It's only the portion that we share with them through our speaking, through our actions. And without the action, without them having the knowledge of what is going on inside, what is going on internally within us from this place, we get to see the other side of that. So we have the clearest idea of who we are, or we have a lot more information that we're trying to work with to figure out who we are. Other people, every single person you've ever met has a different image of you in their mind. What is your image of you in your mind, Scorpio? What is your image of yourself? It goes along the lines with that speaking nicer to yourself, speaking more, just speaking better about yourself, speaking better into your heart, not doubting or dogging on yourself for making mistakes, having compassion for yourself and who you are. Yeah, actually seeing yourself and recognizing yourself for what you bring to the table. Part of how this is going to happen, where this change is going to happen. On Saturday, representing Saturday here, you have the Three of Cups. So getting with community, getting with people who love you, who do see you for who you are, is going to help you be able to acknowledge it, because it's so much easier to love ourselves. We sometimes have to have, it's so much easier when we have someone who can help show us or tell us what they see in us. And I know that they only get a small portion, but sometimes they help remind us of portions of ourselves that maybe we forgot about. These people have their own images, and sometimes they store that a little bit for us. And so when we need it, that piece can be returned back to us in the form of sharing happy memories and sharing how they feel about you and how they feel about you and your relationship with them. And it gives you this encouragement to actually look at yourself and say, hey, somebody else recognized that I'm a good friend. Somebody else recognized that I'm always there when things go wrong and I'm very helpful. Having somebody recognize and acknowledge those things for you can help you recognize it in yourself. And it can help heal that little piece that is having such a hard time, like being nice to yourself, being positive. So make time if you can, Scorpio, to get with community. Make time if you can to connect with the people around you who are going to show you support. And that does lead to an increase in confidence, an increase in your self-confidence, because we have the Knight of Wands showing up here for Sunday at the very end. This is 100% confident. This is almost the person who is so confident they're annoying, right? I feel like a lot of you are going to have to get into that space where you almost have to overdo it for yourself a little bit. You have to over tell yourself how amazing you are. Like, get to the point where it's a little bit annoying, because you're only going to probably accept a smaller portion of that, right? A lot of us, when we're struggling with our self-worth or struggling with, seeing ourselves in this positive image, and I know because I've had lots of issues with this as well, personally, and I think a lot of you can also relate to that. When you're struggling with your self-image, you're struggling with the way that you view yourself, you have to kind of give yourself compliments that feel way too big. Because really, you're only going to accept a small portion of it, right? A lot of you, sometimes when you're wanting to give yourself a compliment or something, you have to make it smaller No. Okay. Let me think about what I'm trying to say. It's easier to accept something a little bit smaller. So sometimes you have to start with breaking things down into a way that can make it acceptable for you. Or you almost have to give yourself big grand compliments because you're only going to accept like 20% of it, and 20% of 100 is a lot more than 20% of 10, right? So it's both 20%, but the holes are just so much bigger that, if you're only going to absorb a little bit, make it count, make it worth it. Give yourself a lot more to work with, because once you start to have that self-doubt creep in a little bit, because we kind of have this back and forth slide that happens a lot, right? Where you get a compliment and you feel like an imposter, and you kind of like backpedal it for yourself, which you shouldn't be doing, but you do it because you feel like you can't accept the compliment as a whole. And so you backpedal it a little bit, and I feel like the backpedaling, is where that extra buffer of having so much more space in there to deal with is really what's going to help you actually accept a little bit more, right? Moving on to week 2 here, Scorpio. This first card here for week 2 is actually April 1st. And so I feel like a lot of you are ending this month with this, starting to make changes, starting to make positive moves towards healing your self-image so that you can start to manifest the thing that you want. Because I feel like your self-deprecation, your lack of confidence in your ability to do this was blocking you from building this thing in the first place. For those of you where we were talking about, buying a house, if you're doubting yourself and your ability to navigate the process, doubting your ability to have enough funds in place to do this thing properly, or to organize a move or a selling of a house in some way, doubting your ability to actually do this is going to keep you from even starting wanting to do it. So at the very start of week 2 on April 1st here, you have the 6 of Swords in reverse. Now the 6 of Swords is pain from the past that we allow to float onward down the river away from us. So the pain of the past, things that have happened that have hurt us or hurt our self-image, because we did talk about self-image, allowing these experiences that we had that bruised our self-image or affected the way that we thought about ourselves, allowing these experiences to be in the past and move on. With this being in the reverse, some of you could be holding on way too tightly to these memories or these things that happened. The things that shaped the way that you see yourself. But you have to be able to move on. When I say move on, I don't mean forgetting it. I don't mean discarding or saying that this experience was not important, because it was important. It affected you, and it changed the way that you viewed yourself. Acknowledging that these things are over, that they are in the past, acknowledging that there is nothing that you can do to go back and change this. It's neither here nor there, and that it simply is. It simply was. It went that way. And just accepting it. Being okay with things not going the way that you wanted them to, or accepting that this thing occurred that shaped you, but not allowing this experience to control or influence your future. When we accept it, when we stop resisting it, or stop putting ourselves in this place of belief about it, I feel like we try so hard to identify with certain things. Like, if you've had a painful thing in the past happen, a trauma that has become part of your identity for too long, it's so easy to get caught up in the victim mindset of this thing happened to me. But this thing happened, but it is not you. This thing happened, but this experience, while it did affect you, it shouldn't be something that takes up all of your time and energy and resources. Just allowing it to move on, allowing it to flow away, not allowing it any more space or time of day to keep hurting you. Because really, that's a lot of where this victim mentality can really just stop serving us is because we get so caught up in reliving the things that happened to us that it's like we're actively hurting or further traumatizing ourselves in a way. And, instead of re-traumatizing ourselves, recognizing that that is what's happening to us, that, we are re-traumatizing ourselves by continuing to think about or ruminate on these things. Now, I do want to say that all of this comes from a place of love. I'm not telling you to, discount yourself as a victim. I am someone who has been through my own share of stuff, Scorpio. And so I'm telling you this from the place of knowing it myself. So don't think that in any way I'm trying to discount your experience or the thing that you have been through. I'm just giving you the advice from the cards as I see it. That leads us to our next card here, Scorpio. After that heavy, heavy energy of that day one here, we have the Four of Wands on Tuesday. The very thing that is blocking you from this home, from this new place for yourself, is this past. You need to let this thing go because it's blocking you from accepting your home, from accepting the thing that you want. The Four of Wands is literally like a home. Like if you look at that, it has four corners, it has a roof and a floor, possibly even walls. I mean, it doesn't look very much like walls, but it at least has corners, right? This is also like a card of marriage sometimes. Marriage of the homes turning two and into one, combining resources and families. As we said, the Princess of Pentacles in reverse for your first card is you looking for a home, looking for the place that you can find rest and recuperation. Part of finding that home is building a fresh start for yourself, not allowing these things to follow you into your new life. On Wednesday for week 2, you have the Chariot in reverse. Now, this is, I feel like this is kind of like a random little blip of like frustration that things are not happening fast enough. Because, we did talk about how this is the start of Mercury retrograde for week 2 here. So you are in the midst of Mercury retrograde. And everything feels a lot slower. Everything feels like it might be going wrong. All sorts of miscommunications and tech problems, things like that. Mercury retrograde is famous for these things. And so the Chariot in reverse is literally like things not going fast enough. So you may feel as though what you are doing at this time is taking a lot of time. It's taking a lot of energy and feels very delayed. You feel like it's being pushed further away from you by these things outside of your control. Now, the Chariot does have this other message of like releasing to spirit, allowing spirit to guide you through life. It's about releasing control and just being joyful and free along the ride, right? Just being along for the ride. Some of you kind of need to take a step back, release control of this situation, release control of the timeline or expectations that you have of how long this thing's going to take. Some of you specifically need to release the dates, of when these things are going to happen. Need to release your expectation of it's going to be done by this day, because it's not going to happen like that. Your card on Thursday is the Empress in reverse. So again, I feel like this kind of moves us a little bit further back towards doubting ourselves a little bit, doubting our ability to grow things. The Empress is creation. The Empress is it talks about fertility, so by fertility though, it's sometimes, yes, like in specific circumstances, it can be physical fertility, but in this case, this is like the fertility of the ideas, the fertility of being able to plant the seed, right? The Princess of Pentacles has the seed, but the Empress is the actual fertility, the building of it. When you plant a seed, you can give it everything it needs. You can give it the correct amount of water. You can give it the correct amount of sunlight and warmth. But the actual growth process happens outside of your control. It happens with spirit, right? It is not in your control. And so, co-creation with spirit, I feel like some of you need to release control and trust that things are going to grow in the timeline that it is meant to. Trust that things are growing at their own rate. You have no control over how fast this thing will grow. You can give it the optimum conditions, but like I said, the actual growth process is something that happens outside of your control, and it happens at the wisdom of the plant itself and the seed and spirit. On Friday, Scorpio, you move to the Five of Cups, which is a card about perspective. So, yes, shifting your perspective at this time. If you feel like things have not been going your way, if you feel like things have been changing and have just been throwing you off kilter a little bit, the Five of Cups is about changing and shifting your perspective. So I feel like for some of you, this could very well actually be this moment where you shift in perspective about how you feel about yourself, but also about the expectations of when this will happen. Some of you, specifically, I'm hearing some of you have been manifesting something to happen on a specific timeline. This thing will happen on its own timeline. That means that for some of you, this manifestation could be happening a lot quicker, a lot sooner than you really think it will. For others, it means that there is still more work to be done. This manifestation is going to take longer. And it depends on specific people. I know that that's like not helpful because but this is a collective reading, you know, things aren't always exact for everybody. But what you need to release is the expectation, allow things to flow, and, you know, things might happen a little bit sooner because of it. Shifting your perspective on this isn't happening fast enough, and shifting your perspective that this is happening as fast as it is meant to. With that, on Saturday, you move to the Eight of Swords in reverse. Shifting your perspective and throwing off your chains. This is literally like freeing yourself from your mind. The Eight of Swords, when you look at this card in reverse, this is a person who has like a blindfold over their eyes, and they have these like cuffs, these fabric cuffs on their wrists that are binding them, keeping them from moving, keeping them from seeing properly. They are blinded to what is actually happening around them. With this in the reverse, you're freeing yourself from these confinement. You had this idea of how fast this thing should be happening. You had this idea in your mind of who you were, or, you know, an improper image in your mind of who you were. And you're freeing yourself. You're literally being awoken to the truth that you hold, the truth of who you are. Your next card is literally the Ace of Swords. Your last card for this week is the Ace of Swords. This is literally like the sword of truth. This is the sword that cuts away the BS. It's a tool that you wield to cut out the things that are no longer serving you, cut out these expectations or BS of who you are, the things that aren't actually truthful, the hurt from the past that is blinding you to the truth. I mean, literally, this is the tool of your will. This is the tool of your mind. Cutting away the things that are no longer serving you. Scorpio, honestly, one of the best readings this week, I feel like. There is so much going on for you. You're building so many big, exciting things. Yeah, let's see what you got. Okay. So we are going to end your reading here, Scorpio, with The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. I want to end this reading with a positive message from the universe for you moving forward into these next 2 weeks. It says, attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation are merely calls for help. So Scorpio, I mean literally, an energetic call for help. All these things that you've been feeling, fear, judgment, separation, I mean separation from yourself, separation from a partner, separation from these things, merely calls for help. I mean, yeah. A lot of it is healing your heart. A lot of this is about healing your heart, healing your self-image so that you can properly manifest this. Because I think some of you, because of your past pain, you're dreaming too small. You're dreaming too small. Putting yourself into a tiny box and saying, I can only do this, when Spirit is really saying, no, Scorpio, you can do this. You can do so much more than what you think you can, because you're not giving yourself the credit that you deserve because of hurt or pain, things from the past, judgment of others from the past, judgment of yourself. Be loyal to what you love. Sweet results await. Co-create with Spirit. Scorpio, you are building something really good here. Your entire reading seems really good for this week. So that is where I'm going to leave off this reading for you this week, Scorpio. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this reading was able to help guide you in some way. And I look forward to seeing you all again in the next reading.